Hey, what's up guys? Hope you are all doing well. Today we are going to implement this 3D card flip effect with HTML and CSS. Let's go! Okay, starting with an empty project, I've created two files, the index.html and style.css files. Both files are currently empty. In the index.html file, I type exclamation mark, says emmet abbreviation, hit tab or enter, and we get some HTML5 boilerplate code to begin with. Notice that I'm using the Visual Studio Code editor, which comes with emmet embedded. Let's start by setting the title, card flip effect, and let's also link to the external style sheet. Here we are, and we are now ready to set the markup for the flipping card. The flipping card will be contained within a container, and let's name it flip card container. I will elaborate in a moment, but let's first complete the markup in order to have the full picture. Then we have the card, which will be the actual moving part, and the card will have two sides, the front and the back. So initially the front side will be displayed and the back side will be hidden, and on hover over the container, the card will be flipped, rotating by 180 degrees, hiding the front side and displaying the back side. And now you might be wondering, why not just create the card element? Why do we have to add extra markup by adding the container element? Well, if we only had the card element, we would get some weird behavior while hovering over a moving element. And that's why we also use the container element, which itself does not move and only contains the moving element, the flipping card. And that's all the markup basically. Obviously, the front and back sides can have any content. For starters, let's just add some text, front and back. Okay, let's save. And before proceeding to styling, let's open the project in the browser using the live server extension. This is what we have up to this point. And now let's proceed to CSS styling. For starters, let's reset margin and padding to 0 for all elements. And let's also set box sizing to border box. This of course not directly related to the main objective of this video, however I feel more comfortable having full control over these properties. Next, let's define the dimensions of the container element. And let's set width to 300 pixels and height to 400 pixels. The card, as well as its children elements, which represent the front and the back sides, will have the same dimensions as the container element. So width and height for the card element should be 100% of its parent element. Of course, card is a block level element, and therefore by default it occupies the entire space, so this isn't really necessary. However, let's keep it for clarity. And let's do the same for the front and back sides of the cart. Nice. And now let's add background color to each side. Next, we want to place the front and the back sides on top of each other. For this purpose, we will absolutely position them relative to their parent element, the cart element. Okay, so now the back side is on top. We could, for example, push the front side on the top using the Z index. Here we are. However, we will not use this. But before proceeding, I would prefer to place the cart in the center of the page. Again, this is not necessary for the main objective of this project. It is just for presentational purposes. So let's define width and height for the body and use flexbox. Width will be 100% of viewport width. Height will be 100% of viewport height. Display flex. Justify content for horizontal alignment to the center. And align items for vertical alignment to the center. Nice. And let's add a couple of things before proceeding to the actual essence. Let's set the font family. And let's also place the content of the front and the back sides of the cart to the center, again using flexbox. And let's set font size to 2 rem. Okay, now when we hover over the cart container, we want the cart to rotate by 180 degrees, revealing the back side and hiding the front side. So initially we want the back side to be rotated by 180 degrees, and we also want it to be hidden. So let's do this. Let's first rotate the back side by 180 degrees around the y-axis, the vertical axis. And in order to hide the back face of the back as well as the front element, we will make use of the back face visibility property and set it to hidden. Excellent. So currently the front side is visible and the back side is rotated by 180 degrees and hidden. And when the cart rotates by 180 degrees, front side will be hidden and back side will be visible. Okay, next step is to flip the cart when the mouse is over the cart container. Indeed, cart rotates by 180 degrees, however we can't see the back side, and that's because children of the cart element, the front and the back elements, remain flat on the parent, and therefore the different layers cannot be distinguished. For this purpose, we can use the transform style property over the cart, the parent element, and set it to preserve 3D. Very nice. And let's add a transition effect for the transform property. Let's set the duration to 1 second. Okay, we are almost there. However, the effect is not 3D yet. And let's also add a border to the cart container element just in order to take a better look on what's going on. We observe that cart always remains inside the box while rotating. Now, in order to turn it into a 3D effect, we should apply the perspective property over the cart container element, turning it into the scenery which will house the 3D space, and at the same time turning its direct children, in this case the cart element, into the 3D objects. So let's set perspective, which defines the distance from the user, to 1000 pixels. Obviously, the lower the value, the more intensive the 3D effect will be. And now the cart element can be transformed within its parent's 3D space. Let's check the result. Indeed, now we get the 3D effect. Watch how the flipping cart extends beyond the container's border while rotating. And that's all basically. Feel free to experiment by changing perspective or maybe rotating degrees. For example, instead of just half a turn, we could rotate by 540 degrees, which is 1.5 turn. Or we could change initial rotation for the back face, let's say maybe to 45 degrees. If this value was between 90 and 270, then the back face wouldn't be visible due to the hidden value for the back face visibility property. And we could even remove back face visibility hidden. And we get this interesting effect. Okay, however, this is not what we want for our example, just wanted to stimulate your creativity a bit, so let's remove changes. And we also don't want the border for the container element. And that's all it takes to create a flipping cart with HTML. This is the markup we need, and CSS. And even this part is not directly related to the main objective. So it's quite simple. Now, from this point, you can add content to the front and the back sides of the cart and style it the way you want, creating all kinds of flipping cards, such as portfolio cards, profile cards, social cards, game cards, credit cards, business cards, movie cards, recipe cards, product cards, etc. In our example, we'll just add an image to the front side and some text to the back side. So let's do this. Here is the content for the front side, just an image tag, and it will be a picture of Albert Einstein. I will just paste the image source. The back side will just contain a paragraph with a quote from Albert Einstein, according to which two things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the universe. For the record, there is dispute whether this quote should be attributed to Albert Einstein. Some claim that he didn't even say it, others claim that many people said it before him. Maybe the oldest version of this quote in bibliography belongs to Voltaire, so please don't take this as a historical fact. And now let's save and see what we have. Obviously, image is huge. So let's do some styling. And for starters, let's set dimensions for the front side image. And let's set them to be equal to its parent elements, width and height. Very nice. And in a similar manner, we style the backside. I will just paste this styling since it is completely trivial and does not provide any additional knowledge. I will of course include a link in the description to this project in case you want to take a closer look. Nice. And if we wanted to center the text, we could use text align center here. We could also round the corners using the border radius property. We don't need this anymore, by the way. Border radius, and let's set it to 0.5 rem. Indeed, the backside has rounded corners. However, for the front side, we should also round the image's corners. So for the image, we add border radius 0.5 rem. And we get the rounded corners. Now, one thing I should mention earlier, but better late than never, is that we could of course rotate the card counterclockwise. Or we could change the rotating axis. So let's rotate the card around the horizontal axis. Nice, and let's also change direction. Okay. And finally, in case we didn't want the card to flip on hover, but rather on a click event over the card container, then we should replace the hover pseudo class with some other class, let's name it flip, and use JavaScript to toggle between adding and removing this class upon a click event. And let's quickly implement this. Let's first store the card container into a variable for easier access. And now let's add an event listener for the click event over the container. So whenever there is a click event over the flip card container, then the following anonymous function will be executed. And the only job of this anonymous function is to toggle between adding or removing the flip class over the flip card container. So we have flip card container dot class list dot toggle the class flip. And that's all. Let's test. Nothing happens when we hover over the card container, but if we click, indeed the flip class is added and cart flips to the back side. If we click again, the flip class is removed and cart flips back to the front side. So everything seems to be working as intended. Excellent! That's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and got some value out of it. Thanks for watching. For any questions, suggestions, or just to say hi, please use the comment section below. Hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe if you want more. Till next time, keep coding, keep improving, and enjoy the journey. Take care. Bye.